education, I have often observed that on the Legon campus, it is when examinations are just around the corner that the churches start to fill up with a lot of students, even to overflowing. Why are the students going in to the churches when the exams are just around the corner? Because they want to ask God for his blessings so that they can perform very well in their examinations. So these are some of the factors which explain why there is such a concentration of churches in the urban communities. You can find Christianity in the urban area. There is Islam. These are the two prominent religions. You can find also traditional religion in the urban area. We have Judaism because there are some Israeli in this country. There's Buddhism. There's Hinduism. We have some Indians who may practice either Hinduism or Asian people from Asian extract. In the country, we practice in Buddhism. And we have Confucianism, which is practiced basically by the Chinese. And we have quite a number of Chinese in this country. So you'll find these religions as being the religions that dominate the urban communities. The main functions that religion performs is social control. And this is good. This is good for the society. It's good for the government in the sense that Christians, particularly those who are born again, those who are the doers of the word and not just mere hearers of the word, they obey the laws of the land. They obey the rules of the church. They obey the laws of the land. They will not steal. They will not take bribes. They will not do most of the things that the so-called worldly people do. So that is good for the government in terms of making sure that at least some of its citizens are obeying the laws of the land. Religion provides meanings to the perplexities of life, things that we do not understand. We have solace when we read the scriptures, and we know that this is why things are the way they are. And we can hold on patiently for that situation to be resolved. It provides emotional satisfaction in the sense that when you go to church, there's emotional support from other church members. You may end up getting a job because you have begun to know some of the people in the church, and also solidarity, which refers to social networking, which enables you to get to know a lot of people, and then that you can gain some satisfaction from that. Now we look at a third institution within a social structure, which is the economic institution. The economy is basically concerned with the production and equitable distribution of goods and services. This is a broad definition which applies to both the rural and the urban area. But in the urban areas, there are some other variables which have been added to the definition. This may refer to concepts like supply and demand, banks, profits, interests, loans, elasticity and savings in the urban community. All of these concepts are in the urban areas because of the process of modernization which Ghana is currently undergoing and is beginning to act. We're beginning to just live our lives as the people in the urban areas in the advanced societies are equally living. We can speak about the impact of the environment on the economy. We can identify between the coastal environment, the forest environment, the savanna, and the industrial environments. In the coastal areas, the predominance of the economy is on fishing and fishing-related industries like nets making, like boats making, like fish smoking. So that basically when you travel along the coastal areas, like you're going from Accra to Cape Coast and reach places by the coast, Cape Coast, secondly Takrady, you find that there's evidence of fishing. The indigenous people rely on the sea as their main natural resource, which they exploit for their livelihood. That is why the environment is critical in determining the kind of economic activity the people in the urban areas are going to be involved in. In the forest areas, like in Kumasi or Sunyani, the predominance is lumbering, which has to do with exploitation of timber species in the forest for all kinds of processing. There's wood processing, and there's furniture making. So basically, when you go to a place like Kumasi, you find that the furniture that is produced there is much cheaper, much more well done than what you might see in Accra, because they're very close to the source of the natural resource, because they live in the forest environment. Equally in Sunyani, yes, the same thing applies. The wooden structures are much more well done, as well as much more moderate in pricing. In the savanna environment, the predominant activity is animal husbandry, because the savanna is predominantly grassland. The grasses serve as food or fodder for the animal. In addition to this, there are other industries like the processing of the hides of the animals that have been killed. So there are leather goods and leather shoes that you might, leather bags that you might find in Tamale when you visit there, because there again is the savanna area, and that is what determines the indigenous economic activity. In the industrial environment, this is where the use of machines or inanimate sources of power for the production of goods and services prevails. So basically, this is the economic determinants in the urban community. Now, Ghana is not quite industrialized yet. We can refer to ourselves as an incipient industrial nation, in the sense that we are still industrializing. We're not industrialized quite yet. But we have the trappings of an industrial society. This is characterized by a number of features. For example, there's a wide variety and amount of goods in the shops in most of the urban areas. When you go to a shop, in a clothing shop, let's say specifically in the urban area, and you're looking for jeans, you're not only going to get Levi's jeans to buy, you will also see their Wrangler jeans, you probably see a full-size jean, you probably see a Lee jeans, you probably see a Bullet jeans, and many other varieties, which is basically what is a feature in the post-industrial nation. You want to buy some drinks, it's not only Coke that you find, you would find Pepsi. You not only Fanta, you find Mirinda, not only Sprite, you would find 7-Up, and many other juices which have been bagged and processed for your consumption. So there's a wide variety and amount of good as a feature of a post-industrial nation. We're not industrialized yet, yet we have features of the post-industrial nation. Additionally, there is information explosion as a part of the features of a post-industrial nation. Well, nearly the majority of Ghanaians currently may have access to mobile phones. And on their mobile phones, there are all kinds of social media information, things that you haven't heard about before. Your friends are going to send you that kind of information. A constant education of people because of the access to cyberspace information highway that we have incorporated in our mobile phones and equally in our computers. So that's another feature of the post-industrial nation. Ghana has therefore become a part of the global village, because you can afford to speak to someone in America in a minute. Some time ago, you would have to go to the postal, I think it's the, I can't remember the specific name now, but you go to the post office to make a booking, and you have to wait for about 2 or 3 days before your call gets through, before you be called to come and speak to the person you wanted to speak to. Nowadays, just within a minute, you can can dial the number of a person. And even Iceland or in China, wherever the person is, you can read that person in minutes. So we have become a part of the global system. We can talk about the fact that there's a surplus of goods. We don't run short of goods nowadays. You don't run short of drinks or clothing. Scarcely do you go to a shop in Accra and they will tell you that, no, they're in short supply of goods. That is a part of the post-industrial economy. Then we can speak about the fact that there is the employment of the predominant number of people in the service industries. Service industries like the teaching service, like the police service, like the medical service, like the army, and many other services that you can think about. They now completely employ the highest number of people in the urban communities. That again is a feature of a post-industrial nation. We're not industrialized, we're an incipient industrial nation. Keep that in mind. We are in the process of industrializing, but we have the trappings, the semblance of a post-industrial nation. A number of economic systems predominate in the urban communities. We can speak about capitalism, socialism, and democratic socialism. Now, capitalism has to do with the ownership, the private ownership of the means of production, profit maximization, as well as market competition. Capitalism is good, particularly because of that element of market competition. An illustration could be the providers of mobile services. You take MTN, you take Vodafone, you take Tigo, you take Airtel. They are constantly competing with one another to provide services at affordable prices so that the public is going to patronize their services. You know, we benefit, we the consumer, we benefit from that kind of competition. We have qualitative goods presented to us as a part of the competition and at affordable prices. This is what makes capitalism pretty good. Now, socialism deals with the state ownership of the means of production. The state owns all the means of production, the machines and the capital, and employs people. There's central planning. The state decides what quantity of goods are going to be produced and how much they're going to be sold. And these goods are going to be sold at no profit motive. We've gone through socialism before, particularly during the Nkrumah's regime. It did not work well. And that's a part of the reason why Nkrumah was eventually overthrown. Because unlike capitalism, where individuals own the means of production and they work very hard to compete and be productive, in socialism, it is the state that owns the means of production. People can afford to go to the workplace, they cross their legs, read newspapers the whole day, and they'll get their full salary at the end of the month. They don't give a damn if the organization is making profits or is making losses. They don't own it. That's why socialism failed. We can speak about democratic socialism, which was apparently the political philosophy adopted by the NDC. They refer to it as socialist democracy, but basically the correct term is democratic socialism. This is an economic system where the state owns the heavier socially significant industries like energy, like water, like the airways, like mining. Heavy socially significant industries are owned by the state, and the lighter industries are left to the for possession, if you like, by the rest of the society. Well, we have seen how this has worked out. Maybe not very good, because a lot of the times some of the industries owned by the government, heavy industries, end up being sold to private participants in those industry. We can refer to the sale of maybe of Ghana Telecom, for example, to Vodafone, and the sale of other state-owned enterprises, because capitalism works much better. Now, we can speak about the quiet revolution in the urban area as another part of the urban economy. This has to do with an increasing number of women working outside the home. This is a product of the emancipation of women. They have become well educated. They're doctors, they're engineers, so they're not competing with the men for jobs outside the home. What is happening is that if you leave the home, you have children, then you have to hire a nanny or a house help to take care of your children. But in the industrialized societies, it is not every woman who has access to jobs outside the home. There are a number of factors which determine that. These, for example, it has to do with your race. Are you white or are you black? If you're black, you have a problem. Your ethnicity, or sometimes your marital status. It's the research into this particular phenomenon shows that predominantly it is the unmarried or single women who are getting jobs outside their home. And finally, it is determined by the age of your children. If you have grown-up children, then you're quite free. You can leave the home and not be worried that your children are not being taken care of. So these factors determine the quiet revolution in the urban communities. And because of the quiet revolution, additional industries have been established to cater for the women who are now working not in the kitchen but in offices, to provide for them the kind of dresses that they should wear to the office, the kind of perfume they should wear to the office, the kind of lipstick they should wear to the office, kind of wigs and all other things that women need. There are industries which are arising as a result of the quiet revolution. The underground economy is work done by public servants and even private entrepreneurs on the site, which are not reported to the government for taxation purposes. In the US, the underground economy constitutes between 10 to 15% of the entire economy. You can imagine how many people are involved in this kind of economy. It also refers to illegal practices like organized crime, like black marketing, currency deals, like organized prostitution, which generate a lot of income which is never reported to the government for taxation purposes. It's the kind of predominant features that we can focus on in the urban communities as a part of the urban economy.